Ramping up his threats to seize Greenland. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote, quote, anything less than U.S. control of Greenland is, quote, unacceptable. He insists the U.S. needs the self-governing territory for national security, and he says it will make the NATO military alliance stronger. Trump says if the U.S. doesn't get it, Russia or China will. And he waved off comments from Greenland's premier saying the territory doesn't want to be owned by the U.S.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
Trump has floated buying the territory, even though Denmark says it is not for sale. He also hasn't ruled out taking it by force. Experts question the legality of either option.
And this comes as Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with leaders from Greenland and Denmark. And the meeting was with the foreign ministers of both countries. Leaders from both Greenland and Denmark say they are against the idea of the U.S. acquiring Greenland. Now, after the conversation ended, a Danish official commented that a, quote, fundamental disagreement over the future of Greenland remains. And the U.S. wanting to take control of Greenland has been a focal point for the Trump administration for quite some time. But there are still more questions and answers as to how that can be possible and why the U.S. is interested in taking control of the territory.
Joining us now to help sort through those questions is the former U.S. ambassador to Denmark, Alan Leventhal. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Delighted to be with you.
So Greenland used to be part of this Arctic buffer, but that's no longer the case. Why is this White House now so loudly stating that now is the time to take Greenland for security reasons?
Well, Greenland is important. It is an Arctic state. Most of Greenland is above the Arctic Circle. We have a critical base there called Bidufik, which is less than 1,000 miles from the North Pole. When you think of Russian bombers and missiles coming over towards North America, they come right over the north of Greenland, this base. So for domain awareness, it is quite critical. The Arctic is warming at 4 times the rest of the planet. And here again, sea routes are going to open up, and Greenland is a critical location in the Arctic Circle.
Now, from today's meeting, have you heard, do we know of any offer on the table? And do you think leaders would be open to talks with respect to the island's sovereignty?
Well, I was very encouraged with the report that I heard of the Danish Foreign Minister, Lars Løkke Rasmussen. I understand he said they had candid but frank discussions. And that's what allies should do. Denmark is one of the U.S.'s closest ally. The U.S. is Denmark's closest ally. And we have a long history. We're founding members of NATO. 10% of the Danes that left, 50% of the Danes that left Denmark from the 1850s on, they went to the U.S. So Danes are part of the rich culture of America. So we have a very close relationship.
I've seen reporting that buying Greenland could cost as much as $700 billion. Do you have any insight into how the price of a country is determined?
Well, what I do know is the Greenlanders want to remain independent. They've been very clear about that. The foreign minister and the prime minister, they made comments recently about that as well. And Denmark, the prime minister of Denmark, who's been a great friend to America, Mette Frederiksen has been probably one of the strongest advocates for the importance of the transatlantic relationship. She's been very clear. The future of Greenland is up to the people of Greenland, and they clearly want to remain independent.
Now, and that being said, if the U.S. potentially moves to annex Greenland, as a former ambassador to Denmark, sir, we got to ask you, what message does that send to the international community?
Well, I am obviously greatly concerned the message to date about the potential consideration of using military force. Denmark is a founding member of NATO. I think that would have enormous consequences if the U.S. were ever to take such an action. And what we have to realize is there's no need to. We have a base in Greenland. We have the right under existing treaties to add more bases. they would be open to mineral rights. The Danes and Greenlanders would do anything to support America. They love America. So it's hard to understand why we're going down this path when we already have the support of the Greenlanders and the ability to do all of this under existing relationships.
Very interesting points that you make there. Former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark, Alan Leventhal, thank you so much for joining us here on 7 News today.
Delighted to be with you. Thank you.